Okay, on today's tutorial, we're going to do parallaxing in Figma. Um, Now, the first caveat is that as of the time that I've done this, you cannot do a parallax or scroll detection with the mouse wheel. So we will be using the click and drag to scroll. And that's really the only way, as of right now, to achieve this effect. But if you plan your storyboard out and use components, it can actually be pretty effective and pretty slick. So we're going to make something very similar to this, where when you drag to scroll, you can see we actually have some complex parallaxing happening. We've got parallaxing in the image itself, as well as the text going over top of the image and changing color. So what you do is you basically set sections in around your page height, and then you would just scroll like that. And here you can see, here's an example of the background image scrolling past the text. So we have some examples of how you'd scroll a site like this. And then we actually do one where we enlarge, kind of like on apple.com, the image on scroll. And you can scroll back down, or you can scroll right past it. So this is the fun stuff we're going to be doing today. Let's get into it. Right on. So for some basic parallax, the easiest thing to do is to have a layered image already. So, a couple of PNGs, one's got the part you want to parallax cut out of it, and then you have your background. I've just used a mask because I was doing this quick and dirty. So you can see that I just duplicated the image and masked out the cabin in Figma. I don't recommend it. It's kind of shitty, but that's what we're going to do. Uh, that's what we're going to use today anyway. So to do the hero, first thing you do is create this, put it in a frame, get it all set out the way you want it to look. And then we're going to create a component. And the reason we're doing this is that the parallaxing states are going to be held within the component, and that reduces the amount of actual frames you have to create and edit later when doing your prototype. And then, you're not changing multiple things in multiple artboards, you're doing it all in one component. So we'll call this cabin tutorial hero. So the first thing, so this will be our default state. Then we're going to add another variant, and you can name it. I'm not going to for this one because I'm lazy. But for this, what we'll do is we'll create our parallax state. So when you scroll, what do you want this to look like? So I'm going to move this up about as much as I can. I think I can only go to there. So that when you do scroll, the background trees kind of come down below the cabinet and gives it that effect. So that's all you need to do to set up your component. And then to make it work, this is where the magic is, you create yourself an artboard. We'll just do this real quick. Add your component that you just created. Okay. And then duplicate it. And then do your scrolled state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up to about there. And then I'm going to change it to variant 2. Now, all you have to do is make sure that these things are named the same because we're going to be using Smart Animate. And I've been playing around with it. It gets a bit tricky, but I found that putting the action on a component as opposed to the page works a lot better. I don't know why. So we'll go into prototype mode. We'll drag our handle over to this screen. We're going to say on drag, and we're going to make sure it says Smart Animate. I like to use 500 for this. You can set it to whatever makes you comfortable. And then we're going to take the same component and we're going to drag it back and set to on drag. And then if you were to preview this, you can see that as we drag, our image parallaxes. Pretty easy stuff. That's the basics. It's all you have to do to get something to parallax. But we want to make it a little more verbose than that. So what we're going to do is create a few more. So we'll create another component for where you have the image behind it. So we'll just pick a size for this. I'm going to make it 450. I think I got 40-inch cutters on a 390, so we'll make that 310. Let's give it some quick stop. And we're going to call this parallax cell. All right, in this frame, we are going to add an image. You can add an image however you want. I use the Unsplash plugin because it's easy. And let's look up cabin interior. Because this is a long component, I'm going to want a portrait style picture, so we'll just add that. And then what we'll do is we'll set it, and then we're going to make it just a little bit bigger because we want to give it some room to move. Okay. And then we'll bring it down to the top. And then here we're going to add some text. Feature name. Set that to the bottom. Right on. And then you take this, make this a component. And now we can set this to be a variable. And then we will create our secondary state. And all we do here is grab our image and drag it up. That's going to be a big parallax, but it's good. That's all you have to do. Now that component is set up. Now, the easiest way to make this a page that reacts to your scrolling is we're going to turn this whole thing into an auto layout. I'm going to make it 390. We don't need any spacing, or yeah, we do. Let's put in 80. We're going to go down, center everything. We're going to put 40 gutters on. All right, now we've already got this in there. So now we can go in and we can add some text that will say the homestead. And let's break that, make it a little bigger. Basically what I'll do, I'll just copy what I did up here to save us some time so you don't have to sit here and watch me do it. So grab this section here. Paste that there. I'm just going to set my background to match my brand colors. That's good. And then we'll start dragging in our parallax cell component. So now we've got that in there. We'll break it up with a little bit of Lorem Ipsum. And then just duplicate that again. And now you can see we're starting to build a page up. And then for these, the nice thing is because we have it here, we can call it warm and cozy. And then all you have to do is switch this image up. So again, I'll use Unsplash. Interior. Sure, use this one. There we go. Duplicate that again to give us some space. And then we'll just call this rustic. Okay, so now we have our page. Now, to make it so that that text goes up over top of the image, what we're going to do is we're going to get the height of this, which is 551, and then we're going to set this to absolute position. Okay, now that drags everything up behind it. So what we'll do here is we're going to set independent padding. What did I say, 550? All right, so that pushes that down. We'll give it. And then the other thing we need to do in our layers is we want to make sure that this is over top of everything. And you can test that by just reducing this padding to 270, and you can see it's over top. So we go back to 570. And now we're ready to go. Now for this one, we are actually going to wrap this in a frame and use this as our scrolling content. So we will frame this selection. We'll set the height to, I believe it's 884. Click the content. And we'll call it. Okay, we're ready to prototype. One thing we're going to do first, and this is to make everything super easy, is we're actually going to take this page right out of there. This is our home page. I'm going to bring it over here, and we are going to create a component. And what that does is that means any changes to our prototype only have to be done in one spot. So we will now drag our home component into here, set it all up. All right, now with our home screen, we can duplicate this. And then what we're going to want to do is grab that full page component. We're going to scroll it up. We'll go to maybe there. And then we're going to reduce our padding to bring that text into the image. So I think maybe if we go 470, no, 370. This is kind of just a almost. There we go. And then we'll actually make this text white. And then the important part, like we know, we take our component here and we set it to its scrolled state. All right, that's our first one. So again, we'll grab, make sure you click on the home component because that's what's going to scroll. We are going to drag it to this page. On drag, smart animate, 500, perfect. And then what we can actually do here is name this home screen 1. That when we duplicate it, it'll automatically number it for us. And then on this one, so you can scroll back down, grab it, and then we will put it on drag. So now, let's go. Now when we drag, you can see, look at that, beautiful. Text goes over the image, our image parallaxes, and you can drag and scroll. Amazing. So now to keep going with that, you would take this, duplicate. While this is here, you can just pick that drag interaction and bring it to the one previous. And then move your screen up to the next section. You might want to do it so that it's the height of your phone, that's totally fine. If you want to do the math, I'm just going to do it by eyeballing it. So we're going to move this up to here, and then I'm going to make sure that I click on this component and set it to its scrolled state. So then we'll grab this guy, we'll type him over to here, drag. This one's already going back, I think, so we're in good shape, and we can test it. So that's still working. Now if I keep dragging up, look at that. We scroll and our image parallaxes with the scroll. We can scroll back and we can scroll back. So now you've got a scrolling page that parallaxes. Incredible. If you use Figma Mirror app on your phone, this works really well. Looks awesome. You'll impress all your clients. And then the last thing we can go into is that expandable image. We don't have to do it. I can show you how it's done. But basically, what we did is I made a component in its shrunken state. I made a variant that is the exact height and width of the phone or the screen. And then, much like you did with these, you have it in its state 1. And then on the scroll to page, you simply set it to its variant 2, and it will animate. So there you have it. Parallax in Figma with drag to scroll. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, check out my other channel, and hopefully this was helpful, and we will see you next time. Thanks.